I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them, Mia and Oliver. Their laughter, their faces, the way Ethan had looked at them. That look haunted me more than anything. It wasn't just pride. It wasn't just love. It was possession. And something deeper. By morning, I knew I had to stop running. I told myself it wasn't for them. Not entirely. It was for me. Because the weight I'd carried for years, shame, secrecy, regret, was heavier than I had admitted. And tonight, I would lay it bare. When Ethan called, I answered without hesitation. His voice was calm, but taut with something unspoken. Meet me. I arrived at his office to find him already waiting. His eyes, dark and unreadable, searched mine. For once, there was no deflection, no control. Just raw truth. Lily, he said softly. You can't deny it forever. I shook my head. I have to. No, he said. You don't have to. You want to. I looked away. The air between us thick with unsaid words. I made a choice, I whispered. A choice to give them life without giving them a mother. I thought I could protect myself that way. That I could survive without looking back. Ethan stepped closer. But you didn't survive, Lily. You've been running from yourself for years. I swallowed. My voice cracked. You don't understand. I gave them away. I lost them before I even met them. And it was my choice. That was never the whole truth, Ethan said gently. And you know it. I flinched. His words cut deeper than I expected. He stepped closer. Close enough that I could feel the heat from him. Tell me the truth. I closed my eyes. The confession rose in me, bitter and aching. I never stopped loving them. Even when I buried them, even when I told myself I was free. I never stopped. And I've been trying to convince myself that letting go was protection. But it wasn't. It was fear. Ethan's hand reached for mine, steady and sure. Then stop running. I opened my eyes. His gaze was unwavering, fierce. I can't, I said, voice trembling. Not yet. I have to know if I can survive this. If I can survive them. You won't know until you try, he said quietly. But with conviction. You can protect yourself, or you can protect them. But you can't do both. I looked at him then, really looked. And for the first time, I saw not just the man I had fought against, but the man who had been fighting for me all along. And somewhere deep inside, I knew I was ready to tell him what I had kept locked away. I am scared. I admitted softly. Scared of losing myself. Scared of losing them. His hand tightened around mine. You won't lose them. Not if I have anything to do with it. That night, under the dim light of his office, I whispered the words I had buried for years. They are mine. I never gave them up in my heart. And Ethan, without hesitation, pulled me close. For the first time, I let him.
When her words finally fell into the quiet between us, they are mine. I never gave them up in my heart. Something inside me shifted. I sat back slightly, letting her hand slip from mine so I could look at her properly. Not just at her face, but at the woman who had carried my children. Who had sacrificed everything, who had built walls so high, no one could reach her. And yet, here she was, breaking them down with the weight of a single truth. I felt a rush of something I hadn't admitted to myself before, fierce protectiveness. It wasn't just for the children. It was for her. For her courage, for the battles she fought alone, for the vulnerability she was finally offering me. I wanted to shield her from everything. From the judgment she had endured. From the shame she had carried. From the cruel whispers of a world that would never understand her sacrifice. From herself. I thought of the years she had spent walking away. Of the nights she must have lain awake, wrestling with loss, regret, fear. And now, in front of me, she was telling me that despite everything, she had never let go. Not truly. I wanted to tell her she was safe now. That I would protect her the way I had protected my children, that I would stand between her and any harm that dared come near. But more than that, I wanted to make sure she knew she didn't have to hide anymore. My hand found hers again, squeezing gently. I leaned closer, my voice low, almost reverent. Lily, you've carried them in your body and in your heart. And you've carried it alone. But you don't have to anymore. I'll carry you too. She blinked, like she wasn't sure she'd heard me. But I meant it with every breath. My protectiveness wasn't possessive. It was an oath. A promise to guard her, to guard them, with every ounce of my being. I saw the hesitation in her eyes. I knew she was afraid. Afraid of losing herself. Afraid of losing control. Afraid of letting someone else in. But I also saw something else. Something fragile, yet certain. A longing she couldn't deny. I whispered softly, almost to myself, but loud enough for her to hear. You don't have to choose between being strong and being loved. You can be both. I'll make sure of it. And in that moment, as I looked at her, really looked at her, I made another vow. Not just to protect her, but to protect us. Whatever storms came next, I would be her shelter. Her safe place. The one who would stand by her without question. Because now I knew. The walls she built were not to keep others out. They were to keep herself safe. And I was going to break them down, carefully, fiercely, and with every ounce of love I had. She stayed still, her fingers tightening slightly in mine. Her breath was shallow, as though my words had stirred something deep inside her. Something both terrifying and precious. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. Her eyes, glistening with a mixture of vulnerability and something like surrender, said enough. A single tear slid down her cheek, and she quickly wiped it away, as though embarrassed by the weakness. But I saw it. I saw the wall cracking. She looked down, her lips pressed together, breathing in a silence that was louder than any confession. Then her eyes lifted to mine, and for the first time, there was no hesitation in her gaze, only something unspoken. Something she couldn't put into words. I knew then that she had heard me. That she had felt the vow. That somewhere inside, she was beginning to trust me. I squeezed her hand again gently, holding it like a promise. And in the quiet between us, we stayed two souls standing on the brink of something dangerous, something irrevocable, something worth fighting for. Because in that silence, we both knew the truth. We were no longer alone.